America could be like Iceland, but we playing. Let's watch.
How many people have died in this country during this wave from COVID? None. Zero. Dr. Þorólfur Guðnason is Iceland's chief epidemiologist.
I think the widespread vaccination in Iceland has for sure prevented serious consequences of the infection.
I feel grateful, and I think it's a testimony to this population.
Dr. Paul Mathiasson is the CEO of the largest hospital in Iceland, Landspítali National University Hospital. He says a nightmare scenario during this fourth and worst wave of COVID has been averted because of his fellow Icelanders.
If it hadn't been for the vaccinations in our population, I think it would have been catastrophic.
Health officials say nobody has died from COVID in the small country since May. 30 died before that, almost all before the vaccine was available. And just how vaccinated is this nation now?
If you look at the age bracket 16 years and older, it's just above 90%.
90% of people in Iceland have been vaccinated, which is why not a single one of them has died since May of this year. Here in the United States, though, we have hospitals in various red states, including Arkansas and Florida, that are full to the brim with unvaccinated COVID patients. Various counties in Florida have declared a state of emergency. Orlando is begging people to conserve water so they can use it for COVID patients. That's what the land of the free looks like, while Iceland is just kicking our asses and keeping people safe and preventing people from dying.
So we have both national and international data now, and the data is overwhelming. So Sweden tried an experiment where they thought, no, let's not sequester at all. Let's not socially distance. Let's just go for it and we'll get herd immunity. Well, and the reality is scientists tell you, you could get to herd immunity, but tons and tons of people have to die to get to herd immunity. An unbelievable amount of people have to die to get there, right? So Sweden found out the hard way, and by the end, before the vaccine came, they finally gave up and said it was wrong, we shouldn't have done it. And they said, please wear masks, stay at home, socially distance, etc. Right? Iceland went another direction, great results. New Zealand, Taiwan, other direction, great results, right? And every country that didn't do the things that scientists and doctors told them to do did miserably. So for a while, Turkey, for example, was doing a great job. We reported it. We were kind of shocked because as a right-wing government that usually is not on top of science. But they had done a great job of, in fact, tracing people, testing them, tracing them, etc. And they had it contained. And then for political reasons, the right-wing government said, nah, I want political rallies and I want people really mad. And maybe they saw Trump doing it and he thought it's good effect and it'll split the country apart. And that's good because more division leads to right-wingers winning. So they changed direction. Guess what happened? Coronavirus raged through Turkey, right? And here in America, we've shown you the map before. If you guys can find it, we'll show it to you again. If our producers can pull that up for you. Well, where is it ranging? In the red states, right there, right? The South and then some in the Midwest there that bragged about, oh, we don't need no stinking vaccine. We don't need no stinking mask. You see, we're not gonna get sick. Well, you were wrong. It's right there. Red means more cases. And Florida bragged the most about how they weren't gonna take any precautions, and they're the reddest. Yep. They have the worst cases. Now, these are facts. Guys, if you care about facts, they're overwhelming. It's not close at all. Any example, it doesn't matter.
Now,
but some portion of the country and some portion of the world doesn't care about facts.
And it's incredibly depressing. So, the Pfizer vaccine now has full FDA approval. The right wing in America claimed that all they needed was full FDA approval for them to feel that the vaccine was safe to get. And now they've of course moved the goalposts, and instead of just taking the vaccine, which is safe and incredibly effective, they're looking at what conspiracy theories are pushing. They're looking at unproven, so-called treatments like ivermectin. That's the latest. And remember, we began this pandemic with the president of the United States at the time, Donald Trump, pushing hydroxychloroquine as a treatment for COVID, which of course it ended up not being an effective treatment for COVID. But nonetheless, I do want to just briefly talk about ivermectin. We did on the show yesterday, but I want to repeat. People claim that ivermectin was studied by the National Institutes of Health and that it was proven to be an effective treatment. Number one, it was not studied by the NIH. There was a meta-analysis published on the NIH website, but that very meta-analysis had to be withdrawn for very specific reasons, which I'll get to in just a second. And I'm not saying it, one of the study authors is saying it. Now, the National Institutes of Health said in February that most of the studies related to ivermectin and the coronavirus had incomplete information and significant methodological limitations, including small sample sizes and study outcome measures that were often unclear. And in regard to Dr. Andrew Hill, who was one of the study authors, he noted that our meta-analysis of survival for ivermectin had to be retracted after one of the main studies was suspected of medical fraud. With the revised version, there is no statistically significant survival benefit for ivermectin, so the original version should not be quoted. Okay, pretty unequivocal, pretty clear there. But nonetheless, it doesn't stop conspiracy theories or theorists, people who believe in conspiracy theories and people who've been pushing them from continuing to do so, despite the evidence that what they're pushing is not medically proven to be a solid treatment for COVID-19. So look, this is obviously depressing, but I want to give the serfs credit for at least finding a way to give us a little bit of humor here. So without further ado, here's one of those idiots pushing an unproven treatment for COVID-19.
I'm going to be talking about ivermectin, and I'm going to be talking about the alternative therapies to treat COVID. And isn't it funny Dr. Fauci never mentions ivermectin? Isn't it funny Dr. Fauci never mentions the fact that we could have cut the deaths from COVID by a third if we had Medicare for all? Isn't that interesting, Ron, that Dr. Fauci never mentions Medicare for all or ivermectin? Is that interesting?
Yeah, I mean, and I'll say this just for like the safety of the show, the segment. I am not a doctor. I do not have a medical degree. I am not endorsing anything. I am this conversation is for entertainment purposes only. I think we covered it.
イベルメクチンはあなたの人生を幸せにし、陰茎の病気を受ける唯一の治療法です。ジミー・ドアや他の多くの
I'm going to be talking about ivermectin.
I mean, all you can do at this point is mock these people.
Yeah, well, his buddy Tucker is talking about ivermectin, so he's got to, toe the line, I guess. It's junk. It's for horses and cattle. Don't be a dum-dum.
Or for roundworm. So if you have a parasitic issue, I mean, yeah. But again, roundworm, COVID, two different things. I don't know if a jagoff comedian can understand that. Maybe not.
By the way, so right-wingers are taking ivermectin, and 70% of the emergency calls to Mississippi are about ivermectin.
And Arkansas, by the way.
Okay, and we really have to explain why Fauci didn't tell you to take something that doesn't work? Why is he not talking about that? Because it's not science, moron. Anyways, so I want to give a quick example because Iceland is a tiny country, and you might think, hey, you know what? 0 deaths since May. That sounds pretty good, but so they have about almost 400,000 people that live in Iceland. So it's just small. So I looked up Wyoming. Wyoming has a little under 600,000 people that live there. It's about 1.5 times more. So how many deaths does Wyoming have now? 4 a day. A day. Every day, 4 people die in Wyoming because they're taking ivermectin or some other crap, or they're taking nothing, but they're not taking the vaccine. So in Iceland, there's no deaths at all, because it's 90% vaccinated. Wyoming, red state, chose not to get vaccinated, chose to listen to idiots in media, and whether they're right wing or pretending to be left wing. And what happened? death after death after death after death every single day because they refuse to listen to actual scientists and doctors.
But I don't know, maybe Jimmy Dore knows better than we do. Maybe he knows better than Sam Seder does. Maybe he should debate Sam Seder on the issue.
I bet he'd be great at it.
Yeah.
Because he's so animated, because he's got all the truth and he's really pure. So I bet he'd do great against Sam.
Totally.
I mean, he would hit him with a purity test and Sam would melt, I'm sure. So you should have at it. And by the way, you could bring ivermectin, it's okay. You could bring Crowder, that's also okay. You can bring Tucker, that's also okay. Sam will take you all on.
Definitely.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.